Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to our global audience. My name is Emily Whitehouse and I serve as Associate Director of Admissions at the Yale School of Management for our master's degree program in asset management. So happy to have you here with us. I'm joined by our program chair and Professor Toby Moskowitz. Professor Moskowitz is also principal at AQR Capital. Toby, say hello to our audience.
Myself first. Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing well. And thanks for joining us this morning, or if it's the afternoon, wherever you are.
Yeah, exactly. Excited to speak with you, Toby. And we're also joined by Arwen Zeisler, who is our new program director. You'll meet him a little bit further along in the process, but he's joining the call as well. Arwen, good morning.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to join us and to learn about our wonderful program.
Thanks so much, Arwen. We'd like to thank you, of course, for joining us today and to learn more about this exciting new program that's slated to start with its first cohort in August 2021. We have about an hour together during which we will provide a program overview and discuss what makes this program distinctive. And also we'll provide some insight on what we're looking for in regard to candidates for the program. We'll explore career outcomes and provide some insight on the application process. We'll then open to take your questions in a live Q&A session. Before I pass the reins over to Professor Moskowitz, I want to walk you through some programmatic information. I'd like to offer a brief introduction, first of all, into the Yale School of Management. As a business school, we are very much driven by our mission, which is to educate leaders for business and society. It's at the core of everything we do across programs. Our community cares both about being successful in their careers and also having a positive impact on society. We believe the mission has never been more relevant. Also of importance to our community is the School of Management's close connection to the greater university. So when you're joining the Yale SOM community, you're also joining the Yale University community. In this connection, we feel that students should be leveraging as they're learning along with us. Our programs create strategic opportunities for engagement across campus, giving you access to the sharpest minds in academia, as well as the resources of a world-renowned institution. All our degree programs allow you to take electives outside of the Yale School of Management, as well as to give you access to Yale conferences and hackathons, guest speakers, and so much more. The Yale School of Management is attracting business leaders at various points in their careers with various areas of expertise from all around the world. All of these business leaders will become part of your Yale network. By coming to Yale, you'll be joining a community of students, faculty, and business professionals who care deeply about the major challenges facing business and society, a fact reflected in the programs that we offer. You will have access to those leading thinkers in all of these areas. Asset management is one field of remarkable strength at SOM. In addition, we also have doctoral programs in business, including a specialization in financial economics. It's worth noting that some of our asset management professors also teach in the PhD program, and certain required courses in asset management will be joint courses with the finance PhD students. Yale SOM also offers a full-time 2-year MBA with 10 different joint degree options, one of which being asset management. And all of the asset management students have the opportunity to take certain MBA elective courses. Students in the MBA program average about 5 years of work experience, and they tend to leverage this program to advance their careers, often pivoting to a new industry or function. However, around 5% of our MBA students are Silver Scholars. They're coming direct from undergrad as high potential candidates who are looking to an MBA without full-time work experience. For Silver Scholars, the MBA experience and the joint degree experience is 3 years. They complete 2 years of study with a year-long internship in between. We also offer an MBA for executives that welcomes professionals from 3 specific industries, one of which being asset management, along with healthcare and sustainability. During your time at Yale SOM, you'll be able to network with these asset management professionals in the executive MBA. These individuals typically leverage about 13 years of experience and are preparing for senior leadership roles at top financial firms. In addition to the Masters in Asset Management, we offer 2 other specialty master's programs in systemic risk and global business and society. The school also offers a Master's of Advanced Management for candidates who have already entered an MBA in a global network school, and then they want to come to Yale for an additional master's degree. So before I go ahead and pass the mic over to Professor Moskowitz, I just want to make sure to do a quick housekeeping item. If you have questions, I see we already have some coming in through the Q&A function on Zoom. So please go ahead and use that, that tool for us so that we can collect your questions. We got some pre-submitted questions, which is great, but I'm very much looking forward to others. So I'll go ahead and pass the mic to Toby.
Thank you, Emily, and thank you everyone for joining us. I'm Toby Moskowitz. I'm a professor of financial economics here at Yale SOM, been here since 2015. Prior to that, I was at the University of Chicago as the Fama Family Professor of Finance at the Booth School of Business from 1998 to 2015. And I should mention, I currently hold the Dean Takahashi Chair in Finance, which Dean, if you don't know, is was David Swenson's #2, who ran the Yale investment office with David, and has been a good friend to the program and has taught for us at SOM as well. So you'll hear more about that. But that's a nice introduction into how this program came about. I am the program director, and I had been thinking about doing a program like this for more than a decade, even starting back in Chicago. And part of it was motivated by the fact that I'm a partner at AQR Capital, one of the largest hedge funds in the world. And every year when we hire new students, we end up spending a good 18 months to 2 years training them to do the things that we need them to do to get them up to speed. And there really wasn't a good program to train students to, start off in an investment management world. An MBA program is a broad degree. It's a very good degree, but it's broad and it's not deeply focused on just asset management. A PhD is a 5 or 6 year path, and it's designed to lead you to academia. And so, a couple of these Masters in Finance type programs started up, but they're not really dedicated to investment management either. A lot of them are financial engineering or have a focus on other aspects of finance. They certainly have aspects of investment management, but not dedicated to the role of asset management. So when I came to Yale, 5 years ago, I had the pleasure of having lunch with David Swenson. Those of you, I'm sure, if you're interested in this field, know that name well. One of the most successful, if not the most successful, endowment manager of all time, and one of the most successful investors of all time. And David and I had long conversations about how people are trained and who he hires in the Yale investment office. And he had long said that a program like this was needed. So we began brainstorming, and the two of us came up with some ideas of how to do this. And I think what makes this program unique, as you'll see in a second, is unlike other programs, which are very much academically focused because that's who runs the program, this is a program where it's both academic and practical. A lot of the courses are going to be co-taught by people like David or my partners at AQR or Bridgewater and other firms, where we're going to bring people in who do this for a living, and you're going to see where theory meets practice. And there's a bunch of specific courses that no other program has and couldn't supply, in part because nobody else has David Swenson, but also people like him who he can bring in and come to campus. And so I'm going to talk about that in a bit. So this is really a well-designed program to meet the needs of financial managers and asset managers who want to hire the best talent. And our goal, by the way, is not just to get you a job, that is the immediate goal, but in this industry, but to really launch a career in this industry. When you hear from David, and hopefully you'll get this from me, you'll see a passion for solving problems in this field. We think this is a very exciting field, one of the most, if not the most exciting fields that you can study. And it's just a joy to, for me, from the academic side, look at this Also from the practical side with my work with AQR, try to solve problems that meet clients' needs. And that's what we're after. So if we go to the next slide, I'll talk a bit about the program. The program it's a one-year program, full-time master's degree in asset management. It's full-time, but there are people who can work while they're doing it. It will be one hell of a year. It will be, I don't know how much sleep you'll get, but you will be done in 9 months with a master's degree and while working as well, if you want to. Others will leave work and just do this full-time, but it is a full-time program. Our motivation, as I mentioned, was to fill a need, a demand for a finance program devoted to asset management. What we end up doing at AQR, and a lot of firms do this, is we hire smart people who demonstrate they're smart by taking a lot of math-heavy or financial engineering or computer programming courses. Then we spend 2 years training them to learn finance. Well, this program is designed to do a lot of that. And it's going to do it by merging top finance scholars, which Yale has one of the best finance departments in the world, as well as leading investment managers, which will really be a unique curriculum. And again, this curriculum was developed in close collaboration with David. I have spent many hours and many days at the Yale Investments Office brainstorming with David about what this program should look like, and it will evolve over time too. And so that's something that we're really excited about. And by the way, David, yes, will teach in the program, multiple courses, in fact. So who is the program for? It's really for early career individuals. What that means is this could be people who have never spent any time in the investment management industry that want to break into it. If you have zero work experience, that's perfectly fine. But also for those of you that have worked in this industry for several years, that's fine too. 3 to 5 years worth of work experience would be just fine, but early career individuals. We do require a strong quantitative, or at least an analytical background. We're going to be solving tough problems. Some of those problems require quantitative techniques, certainly from my perspective, coming from the quant world, which is what AQR Capital does. But in addition, if you come from David's world, which is more of a fundamental-based approach, it requires a great deal of analytical background. So maybe you're not using heavy machine learning techniques or quantitative tools, but you do have to analyze and understand economics and really appreciate how you're going to get to the answer. It is open to both full-time students and working professionals. The program is full-time, but the courses will be designed to occur on Fridays and typically in the evening, so that if someone wanted to work during the week and take this program, they could. They would have to ask off for Fridays and maybe one other day during the week, or leave early to take some courses in the evening, but that is certainly possible, and you'd be done in 9 months. So how is this program different from other programs? So I touched on this a little bit. The big difference is not just the focus on theory, but the practice of asset management. And I don't think there's any other program that can deliver that the way we can here. And that's why it's jointly partnered with the Yale Investments Office. We're going to have not just Yale faculty, but leading institutional investors teaching this program. I've it's amazing. I always say I had to twist arms to get my AQR colleagues to teach. It's actually the opposite. It's amazing how many people want to teach who have all this knowledge. And so I actually have I have a deep bench of people who won't even be able to teach necessarily the first year, that want to rotate through, which is really, really nice. Same with some friends of mine at Bridgewater and other top firms. And this is going to result in a unique slate of courses. Just to give you some example, we're going to be covering courses in alternative asset classes. For instance, the Yale Investment Office has for years invested in private equity and real estate and done phenomenally well. And even, looking at things like timber and almond farms and other things, nobody has courses on this kind of stuff. These are truly alternative asset classes. We have some of the world's experts in behavioral finance. We have the inventor of the Yale model, David Swenson, teaching his endowment management course. We have a course on ESG investing, environmental, social, and governance investing, and the attributes. That's going to be run by 2 colleagues of mine at AQR who run that business for AQR. It's a big and growing business. And we're even going to have some courses from the Yale Law School on the regulatory landscape. We're going to partner with one of the best law schools, if not the best law school in the world, and have an expert, John Macy, talk about the regulatory landscape and what that means, as well as, of course, all the quant stuff that I bring and my colleagues bring. We have Brian Kelly here at Yale, who's one of the world's leading experts in machine learning for finance. And I think one of the centerpieces of the program is going to be this asset management colloquium. David and I, through our connections, and a lot of them are his connections and his experience, are going to bring in some of the biggest names in the investment management world to come and spend quality one-on-one time with you guys. So to come, give a talk, hang out for an afternoon, talk to you guys, students, about careers, about problems that they're solving, about issues they're grappling with. And these will be people like Cliff Asness, the founding partner of AQR. It will be like Seth Klarman, a very famous value investor at Baupost, a number of other individuals that we're going to bring to campus, Lei Zhang from Hill House, who are going to talk to you, and you'll get some one-on-one interaction with them. Now, don't get me wrong, there'll be work involved too. We're going to have you reading materials and doing some analysis from what they say and learning from them. And Arwen and I are going to make sure that happens as well. But that's going to be a really nice centerpiece of the program that we want to have throughout the year. The program is, there is an option for a joint MBA and MMS degree. So some of you that want to get both degrees, you can do that. And in fact, you can do it in 2 years, where the course requirements for the MMS degree in asset management will suffice as electives for the MBA program. And that's a nice option that several of our students are currently taking. So one of the advantages over doing this versus going to, say, Goldman or even AQR and doing the investment boot camp, at AQR, for instance, we hire outside professors, including myself. That's how I started in this business. Citadel hired me to do this, and AQR and others, where we teach courses on some of the things they might need to know. But this is all done in kind of a patchwork, haphazard style, because no one can put together a full curriculum. No one has the time to do that. So the idea here is to substitute for this boot camp, to meet a demand that's there that no university is really supplying. And you know, one of the advantages of doing this is that you're going to learn, first of all, you'll get a degree from Yale, but secondly, you're not going to be trained in the idiosyncrasies of a particular firm. You're going to learn broad tools that are going to be more applicable to your entire careers, because whatever your first job is, unlikely you'll stay there for the next 40 years. You might, but chances are you're going to want to look at other options. And so the idea here is to do that right and do it from the beginning. And a big piece of this is what David and I strongly believe in, and Arwen as well, is that part of that training includes a heavy duty of ethical and fiduciary considerations. One of the reasons we want the law school to partner with us on this course is to give students a sense of, well, what are things that you need to be careful of, and what are some of your responsibilities, and what could get you not just into legal trouble, but ethically, what is the right thing to do? And, you know, David and I will say this over and over again, but this is a wonderful business where you can do extreme good for your clients and for people that really need these investments. For instance, at AQR, some of our biggest clients are teachers unions, labor unions, governments, and other things that really rely on us to manage their money properly. And when you do that and do it right, not only do you help people out, but you actually can make a very good living out of it too, and solve a lot of really interesting problems. And so a lot of people have this backwards. They think this world of investment management is cutthroat and competitive, and it's dog eat dog. And a lot of people behave that way, but you can do a heck of a lot of good for a lot of people and have a wonderful career with wonderful outcomes and get compensated well, and everybody's happy. And that's what we want to train people to do. Do this the right way, because you'll have a wonderful career if you do. Okay, so a little bit about the curriculum. There are 22 required courses. Some examples: you'll get a good dose of asset pricing theory, behavioral finance, market regulation, and quantitative investing. A lot of that taught by Yale faculty, but also sprinkled in there some practitioners. And then there'll be a lot of 12 units of elective courses, and this includes the endowment management course, the ESG investing course, hedge fund strategies, macro strategies. The nice thing about the curriculum is everyone's going to get a solid core of basic skills that we think are important no matter what you do. So that's asset pricing, behavioral finance, market regulation, and quant skills. But then people can branch off. Those of you that are interested in more derivatives and fixed income securities and bond markets and macro strategies, you can go that direction. Those that want to go more on the stock side or the ESG investing or endowment management side can go that direction. Those that want to go the hedge fund direction can do that. And there'll even be some private equity courses as well and alternative asset classes. So there's lots of flexibility in the program. In addition, you are allowed to take MBA electives too and other courses on Yale's campus with permission of the program director. If we think it's a good fit, you can take it. This could be computer science, statistics, economics courses, all of that is on the table. And as I mentioned, the asset management colloquium, which will run throughout the year, will be a course that you get credit for, and there will be work to do, but it'll also be one of the centerpieces of this program, and we're very excited about that. One other thing about the curriculum too, of course, is we want you guys to get some experience. There is a practical experience requirement. If you are working while in the program, that will count as your practical experience. But in addition, for those of you that are looking for internships, you might ask, well, what do I do when it's only a 9-month program? Well, what we're going to do in this program is we have a break starting mid-December until the end of January, which we're going to call a winternship. And the idea here is we're going to try to get you a 6-week internship, and through the Yale Career Development Office will help facilitate this, get you a 6-week internship at some firm where you can learn some skills and work with that firm that may turn into a job offer at the end of the year, but get those skills mid-year. The nice thing about this is the way the curriculum's set up is the first half of the program is a lot of theory and tools-based analysis that should help you with that internship. And then when you come back from that internship in the spring, it's a lot more elective courses where you can hone in on where you want to concentrate and whether that matched what you did for those 6 weeks. Now, that 6-week internship could be at a firm. It could be anywhere in the world because you can go travel for those 6 weeks. There's no courses during that time. There are also potentially research opportunities at Yale itself to do satisfy that practical work experience. And we'll be quite flexible in looking at various options that people want to meet that requirement. So in terms of the joint degree options, if you want to do the joint MBA and MMS asset management and get both degrees in 2 years, just to be clear, you have to apply to those programs separately, and you have to be admitted to both of those programs. So while you can do it, it is not one application. It is 2 separate applications. They have their own admissions process, and you have to qualify for both. There's also a Silver Scholars Program. This is for young scholars who don't have work experience, where it's a 3-year program where you get an MBA plus you can get the asset management degree. And the reason it's 3 years is you would start with the first year of MBA curriculum, then you disappear for a year and do an extended internship. And this is true for the regular Silver Scholars that don't do the asset management program as well. And then you come back and fulfill your MBA electives with the asset management requirements. So regular Silver Scholars take 3 years to get an MBA. You can also get now in 3 years the MBA plus the asset management degree and do it all in the same time. Okay, and same if you do just the 2-year joint MBA MMS program, if you're not in the Silver Scholars, the first year would be with the MBA core curriculum. The second year would be all the asset management courses that we offer, okay, in the curriculum there. Okay, so Emily, I'm not sure when I'm supposed to hand the baton to you because I can't see the page numbers, but I think we're just about there. But, you know, I'll emphasize what Emily said at the beginning, which is the other thing you get when you come to Yale is you're joining a community. In both the MBA and the executive MBA program, there are specializations in asset management, plus the PhDs in finance. And in particular, the executive MBA program has an asset management program itself. And these are late career or mid-career individuals. They may have 10, 15 or more years experience. And then what's nice about that is there's going to be, we hope, nice synergies between that group that spent, you know, more than a decade in this business and our group, which is going to be early careers individuals who want to jump into this business. And so there'll be good ways to make connections there. The speakers will sometimes overlap. Some of the speakers we're bringing in, our executive MBA students are justifiably jealous and said, hey, if Cliff Assis comes, can he also speak to us? So I'm going to ask Cliff gently, would he mind sticking around and doing that as well? But the point is, there are going to be plenty of ways to interact with all these different groups, and they bring their own speakers to the table too that we'll have access to, and their own events. And so there's plenty of opportunities, plenty of clubs, plenty of ways to interact with an entire asset management community, as well as across Yale. And I think, the big selling point here is you're going to have an opportunity to interact with not only the SOM faculty, but some of the world's leading practitioners in asset management. And they're going to come through not just our program, not just the MBA and the Executive MBA program, but also other finance centers here at Yale, like the International Center for Finance, and as well as the Yale Investments Office, which will be deeply involved in this program. Okay. So in terms of what outcomes do we hope you'll get out of this? Well, we hope this will achieve your career goals a bit faster. As I said, if this helps train you, you can jump in from day one and start doing some things at the firm rather than taking 18 months to 2 years to be trained. We think this will be a tremendous opportunity, and the feedback I've gotten about this program from potential employers is that, oh, this has been needed for a long time. We are so glad someone's doing this. There's going to be global career opportunities. We expect this to be a global program. We have connections not just to U.S. firms, but all over the world. David himself works with companies from all over the world, Hill House being one of the biggest ones in China, for instance, as an example. At AQR, we have offices all over the world, Australia, Germany, UK, as well as all over the United States. And we expect students are going to end up both on the buy and the sell sides in the asset management business. Some of you will manage endowments and work for endowment funds. Some of you will go work for hedge funds. Some of you will be working even for regulatory agencies. But you're going to be on both sides of the equation. And so we think there's broad career opportunities here for analysts, for researchers, for portfolio managers, risk managers. You're going to get exposed to all of these aspects of the investment management business. And finally, for some of you, you may decide that this is so cool and you like the theory so much, you want to stay on and get a PhD in finance. I would like nothing more. I would welcome that. In fact, many of our PhD students have master's degrees in other programs, econ, statistics, or what have you. Some of you will decide you want to write and do research in finance for the rest of your lives, and that would be great. David Swenson himself has a PhD in econ from Yale, and that ultimately launched his interest in this field. And I do as well, of course. And, I never thought I would become an academic. I thought I was going to go this route, but I got excited enough by the stuff I was studying that I decided I'd like to teach this and do research on it. And we would welcome that as well. And as Emily mentioned, some of the courses that you'll be taking in our program, like the behavioral finance and the machine learning course, are actually doctoral courses. So is my course on quantitative investment. You'll be in class with PhD students. It's a practical bend to some of those applications, but they are PhD courses. And if you wanted to stay on and get a PhD, you would have a leg up on some of those courses already. So I think with that, I think that is my last slide, right? Emily, if I'm calculating right, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
So without further ado, before we open for Q&A, I'd like to offer just a few words on the application process. So first, as Toby mentioned, we're looking for candidates who have demonstrated interest in the field, but we're certainly open to all majors here. We're looking for candidates with strong quantitative skills, but again, we're not limited to certain majors or even courses. For example, you may have studied engineering or chemistry, or maybe you've earned a liberal arts degree, but you have some statistics classes or some applied math. We're also looking to your standardized test score to demonstrate your quantitative preparedness. Our target audience is early career, and relevant work experience and internships. They're certainly helpful, but they're not necessarily required. We also see a lot of individuals with research assistantships or different academic work that they've done aside from a standard internship at a firm. So on this slide, you'll also see some of the components of our application, some of which you'll likely be familiar with if you're applying to other schools. And so you'll be submitting many of these components to multiple schools. But there are a few things to note before we open for your questions, so I'll dive into those. So we do ask for 2 letters of recommendation, one of which we'd like to see from a professor or a faculty member who can speak to your undergraduate performance, or perhaps your graduate school performance if you're joining us direct from a graduate program. One of those letters will be professional in nature. That could be from an internship supervisor or a mentor, someone to that effect. We do accept both GMAT or GRE. We have no preference there, honestly. We are versed in reviewing both types of scores. When you submit your application, you're going to submit your self-reported score, and be sure to send that verified score to us direct from your testing center. It is also probably helpful to note at this time that we do accept the at-home test due to the current global pandemic. We do certainly accept those, and those continue to be valid for 5 years from the test date. And so that is also true of the TOEFL or IELTS score. That is something that is required of international students whose native language is not English, and perhaps they did not earn a degree in an English-speaking university. Certainly feel free to reach out to us via email. I'll share that email address with you at the end of this presentation, just so that you can talk to me about your specific case. So essentially, one other component of the application that is unique to Yale SOM are the video questions. I'd like to offer a little bit more detail and a little bit more guidance with regard to this piece. So after submitting your application and paying the application fee, you're given access to a video question platform. So the video questions, they're not a substitute for a real interview. There's no special preparation that's required for this. So we're using these responses to help us assess English language skills, also your ability just to kind of explain your position or point of view on a certain topic or subject matter. And it also just helps us to create a more three-dimensional sort of view of each applicant. So for this purpose, you will be recorded through your computer camera answering these questions. And of course, they're not trick questions. They are ones that you would typically encounter in a typical interview, just your typical behavioral interview style question. And there will be an opportunity to practice. Some may be a bit nervous completing this exercise, but please understand that, again, we're not trying to trick you. We really want you to shine here. And so there is an opportunity to practice using the tool. Those that do best are just comfortable with the technology. I highly recommend finding a nice, quiet place free of distractions. Maybe put your pet in another room. That can certainly help to just make sure that there's nothing in your way. It's just you and the camera. So these questions are similar to typical behavioral interview questions, like I said. They're about, there's about 20 to 30 seconds prior where you'll have the question in front of you, and then you can go ahead, think about it for a minute, and then you'll have a certain amount of time to respond to that question. So of course, we have one application deadline, which is January 13th. And so after the deadline, that's when your work is done, and the hard part sometimes comes for you, which is the waiting. So waiting can be difficult, but just know that we are working really hard to review all of the applications we receive. And after that deadline, the admissions committee will issue invitations to interview, but the interview is actually not required for admission necessarily. All candidates will be notified of their decision either way on April 9th. So also with regard to scholarships, all applicants will be automatically considered for merit-based scholarships. No separate essay or application is required for that, and they are notified at the same time that they're admitted.